Wherefore, Part 47. Being asexual does not come naturally to Elizabeth. She has spent her entire adult life being an intensely sexual person. Unfortunately, thanks to the whims of the rhubarb spirit, any time she now experiences any sort of sexual feelings, her body changes shape and she becomes a plant for at least a few hours. That process calms her briefly, but does not answer the need. Her body rages with variations on a theme of lust, but the desire itself brings on the transformation and the absolute denial of that desire. She can't feel anything much of her surfaces when she is a plant, so any debauched ideas about what might be done with her leaves proves fruitless. Not that she has any fruit. It would be funny, she thinks, if this was happening to anyone else. It might be funny in the future if a solution can be found, but right now it is definitely unfunny. It has been such an unfunny day that she sits with her back to Badger Boy because looking at him is too difficult. If she looks at him, she will want to touch him, and if she touches him, her body will most assuredly burn with longing, and that will result in stalks, leaves, and the end of the conversation. If she does not look, and does not touch, she can at least keep talking to him, which is all she can have right now. Up until recently, Elizabeth would not have described her Badger Boy as having an especially sexy voice. Speech comes awkwardly to him, and he mostly sounds like he is having a fight with his own tongue. Also, sometimes he forgets he isn't a badger and stops to crunch on beetles, and there are few things less appealing than a man with a mouthful of crunched beetle mid-conversation. But right now her predicament has shifted her perspective, and everything she cannot have is unreasonably attractive. She would kiss him now even if there were fragments of beetle shell in his mouth. Even though beetle is a ghastly flavour, she would welcome that right now. No. Elizabeth realises with mounting horror that she cannot afford to think about the taste of beetles, because that has her thinking about his mouth, and if she goes further that way, then there will be leaves. She wants to think about his mouth. It is a fight to get her body and mind under control and to stop the shift into rhubarb form. Stay calm, she tells herself. Think unsexy thoughts. But right now, everything has erotic potential. Anything longer than it is wide risks sending her down hungry lines of thought. Damp things are dangerous. Anything that must be put inside another thing. It is relentless. Every aspect of the world around her now offers some reminder of what she cannot have. How can it be that the entire world throbs with sexual potential? The word throb turns out to be hazardous, and she has to focus on her breathing for a while, trying not to think about anything else. If only she had taken meditation classes. If only she had learnt to empty her mind and think nothing. And then she remembers that nothing is a historical euphemism, and she is dangerously close to remembering snatches of poetry by Lord Rochester. And oh God, how did the word snatches end up in her mind? And Elizabeth tries to think about nuns. Very stern nuns. Unfortunately, nuns remind her of a novel by the Marquis de Sade, and while that was tedious in the end, de Sade suggests Sacha Masoch, and Elizabeth wishes she wasn't quite so well read. I saw a dead owl today, Badger Boy says out of nowhere. Thank you, says Elizabeth. That's exactly what I needed to hear. Tell me about your owl, please. It was fairly fresh, Badger Boy replies, but not fresh enough that I wanted to eat it. No! Elizabeth howls. She holds her breath, clenches her hands into fists, and fights not to lose herself. She is so angry about this, furious at being robbed of such an essential part of herself. The anger washes away other feelings and gives her something of a reprieve. If she could work out how to be both angry and amorous at the same time, she might get away with it. Behind her back, Badger Boy makes a small crunching noise, and she remembers the taste of sour beetle in his mouth one time when she hadn't realised what he'd done and kissed him anyway, and it is too much this time. She grabs the few seconds available as the distinctive sensation hits her gut. She kisses him hard, endures the beetle taste, has a few perfect seconds of utter surrender to passion, and then sprouts helplessly. As a rhubarb, she has some conscious thought remaining and just a little awareness of what's around her. Mostly all she can do is stand, letting her thinner stalk sway a bit. Perhaps it was worth it for a taste of him, beetle guts and all. A few seconds of feeling properly alive and a little bit like herself. It is better than nothing, she decides. Bloody rhubarb. Bloody ridiculous, preposterous, unwelcome, unwanted rhubarb. She can only wait for it to pass.